Arizona State is in full rebuild mode. Herm Edwards left the program in the state of an absolute dumpster fire. The Sun Devils went 3-9 last year, their worst record since 1994, and have now moved on to new head coach Kenny Dillingham, who comes over after previously being the offensive coordinator at Oregon. In doing so, he is, as we said, trying to fully rebuild this program with 43 new players. 43 new players on the roster for the Sun Devils this year. They might not succeed mightily in 2023, but it's going to be a very fun and interesting season. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to break down and analyze everything you need to know for Arizona State's 2023 season, including their schedule and record. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com, where we have beat out over 80% of the national analysts and handicappers with our college football and NFL spread picks. Each of the last 5 years, we have beat out over 80% of the national handicappers. So if you want guaranteed money right back in your pocket this college football season, go sign up for that today. One of the cheapest prices in the country. It's a full year-long subscription. You do not want to miss out on that. You don't want to miss out on our Patreon account either, where you'll gain access to exclusive college football content year-round. Become a member of our Patreon Wall of Fame and get that exclusive membership over there, the link down in the description below. And check out our mailing address as well. Send us some gear from your favorite team to be represented in every single Gridiron Expert video. Send it to the address down in the description as we try to expand our GE Nation from coast to coast, and especially wanting some more West Coast Pac-12 representation here on the channel. So let's take a look at the Sun Devils. I mean, Arizona State, guys, you felt for him. I mean, Herm Edwards, it looked like he was building something. Maybe the reason he was because he was, throwing a bunch of recruiting violations in there. He looked like they were doing great things because they were cheating. They weren't doing things the right way. And ultimately, that kind of sent Arizona State in a downward spiral. But I believe they're going to get back. I believe Kenny Dillingham can be the guy to do it, just maybe not in year one. Offensively, the success for Arizona State is going to start with their quarterback in Drew Pine, transferring in from Notre Dame. Had 10 starts last year for the Fighting Irish, had 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. They also have the coveted 5-star Jaden Rashada. Had the whole Florida NIL deal, didn't pan out. Now he's come over to Arizona State. So they have depth at the quarterback position. They also returned their top 3 pass catchers from last year. So this offense that returns 8 starters might not be too bad, especially considering Dillingham is a brilliant offensive mind. Defensively is where Arizona State needs the most work. 5 starters back on that side of the ball after giving up over 31 points per game and over 400 yards per game, only racking up 17 sacks as well. The Sun Devils really struggled to generate pressure throughout the course of the 2022 season. They allowed over 188 rushing yards per game, which is a bit of a concern, but the passing defense is going to be solid in 2023. Maybe the best secondary within the Pac-12 this year, led by Chris Edmonds at safety, led the team last year with 3 interceptions. This secondary, guys, is extremely underrated. It's going to pose a bit of an issue for some of the better quarterbacks within this Pac-12 conference. You take a look at Arizona State's schedule, it's got some pros and it's got some cons. The non-conference isn't terrible. Southern Utah, Oklahoma State, Fresno State. They get to host USC. They're hosting Colorado. They host Washington State. They host Oregon. They host Arizona. So a very favorable home slate, but can they defend home field? Well, I do think they start 1-0. I think they'll beat Southern Utah. Kenny Dillingham will get his first win as a head coach, first win with the Sun Devils. And then they take on Oklahoma State, that intriguing Power 5 matchup that we did see last year, the Sun Devils losing in Stillwater 34-17. Ultimately, though, I've got to go Oklahoma State here. Even though the Sun Devils own home field advantage, Mike Gundy owns the significant coaching edge over Kenny Dillingham, obviously just from years and years of experience. And the Cowboys, I don't expect many great things, typically exceed expectations under Mike Gundy. They're a very well-coached, very well-disciplined team. The offense, I think, will start to figure things out. And Alan Bowman at quarterback isn't going to be terrible if he can stay healthy. I just like this Oklahoma State team a little bit more right now than Arizona State with so many key new pieces. So give me the Cowboys to get the win there, but give me the Sun Devils to beat Fresno State in Week 3. Now, I know many will say not so fast on that one, and trust me, I didn't immediately mark that up as a win, Fresno State being the reigning Mountain West champions. But they do lose a lot of key pieces from that team last year, namely their star quarterback in Jake Haener. And I believe Fresno State, going to be more of a pass-first team still, might struggle a little bit against this Arizona State secondary with home field advantage. Give me the Sun Devils in a close one. They start 2-1 under Kenny Dillingham heading into conference play. Things are looking pretty solid. Unfortunately, their first conference game is against USC. I mean, golly, welcome to the league, Kenny Dillingham. He was there last year, obviously, at Oregon. I guess I should say welcome to the league as a head coach. Your first test in conference play is against maybe the best team in the conference, one of the best teams in the nation, and a Trojans team that nearly won the Pac-12, nearly made the playoff last year, and still returns the Heisman Trophy winner in Caleb Williams. USC is not going to lose much this year. They're certainly not going to lose to Arizona State, a team they beat 42-25 last year in LA. You know, Arizona State will be rocking. Home field advantage will be, try to be there. People are going to be hyped for this game, but the Trojans is ultimately too much. So Arizona State drops to 2-2. They go on the road to California. California is a tough team to figure out this year. They have the talent to maybe make a bowl game. They hung with some of the top dogs last year, almost beat Notre Dame. They hung with USC. They played teams close last year but couldn't get over the hump. If a couple of those games go their way, they will be a bowl team, especially with 17 starters back. I'm going to lean Golden Bears here. I'm going to give California the edge. They've got the home field advantage. They certainly have the coaching edge with Justin Wilcox there. Having been there for, I believe, 7 years now with Cal. I think they're going to have enough to get the job done against this young Arizona State team. And if you're California, not only do you have to win your home games if you want to have a shot going bowling, but you've got to win them against teams that have some struggles. A first-year head coach, young team, a lot of new pieces. You've got to take advantage of that, and I believe California does. So Arizona State drops the game to Cal, and I think they drop the game to Colorado as well. This, to me, is a very winnable game for the Sun Devils. One that, to me, was 50-50. Wouldn't be shocked if they won it. Certainly wouldn't be shocked if they lose it. Colorado, I don't think deserves all the hype that they're getting. I don't think they're going to have this fantastic breakout year in year one under Deion Sanders. But the transfers they brought in are no slouch on both sides of the ball. A lot of key pieces. Shadur Sanders is no slouch. We had him ranked as one of our top quarterbacks within the Pac-12 this year. I think they own the edge offensively over Arizona State. I could make the argument they own the edge defensively. Even though Colorado was garbage defensively last year, the transfers could make a pretty big impact, especially at this point in the year after a month of playing games. It's tough, but I'm leaning Buffaloes here. I'm leaning Buffaloes, where I think they own the edge in all aspects except for home field advantage. I think Deion Sanders' squad overcomes that. So Arizona State drops that game. They're 2-4 now heading into their bye week. Wouldn't be shocked at all to see them at 3-3. Maybe they beat Colorado. Maybe they beat California. But ultimately, if they want to have a shot at a bowl game because of this back half of the schedule, they're really going to need to start probably 4-2, 5-1 in those first 6 games. I'm just not sure they're going to be capable of doing that, even though 5 of those first 6 games are at home for the Sun Devils, which is extremely, extremely favorable. They get their bye week and they go on the road to Washington, a team they beat last year. Massive upset when the Sun Devils took down Washington. You cannot but wonder what the season could have looked like had the Huskies beat Arizona State. Arizona State won 45-38. Washington only lost 2 games last year. One of them was to Arizona State. They lost to UCLA and Arizona State in back-to-back weeks, won out the rest of the year. Who knows what the Huskies could have been? Could they have been in the playoff? Could they have been in the Pac-12 championship? More than likely, yes. Kind of crazy to think of. So Arizona State played a major role in the shape of the country and the shape of the playoff race last year. Little did we know it at the time. But the Huskies are good this year, guys. Again, Michael Penix returns. The majority of his pass catchers return. They've got home field advantage now. They certainly got revenge on their mind because of the loss they suffered last year, because they know if we had just beaten Arizona State, we might have had a shot at USC. And if we had beat USC, maybe we would have been in the college football playoff as a one-loss team. So a lot at stake there. Washington does get the revenge over the Sun Devils despite Arizona State winning last year. They then come back home to take on Washington State, and I think they finally snap the losing streak. They finally snap the 4-game losing streak against the Cougars. A lot of different reasons here. Mainly, though, because Washington State wants to throw the ball with Cameron Ward. Arizona State's strength is their secondary. And some would say, well, Washington's is too, right? Washington wants to throw the ball. Washington's passing offense light years ahead of Washington State's, right? So there's a difference in terms of quality and style and talent, right? So Washington State's still good. They beat the Sun Devils 28-18 last year, but now back at home in the desert with that strong secondary, a very winnable game. I think they shut down that Washington State passing attack. The Cougars can't win the game solely on the ground, and Arizona State gets their first conference win under Kenny Dillingham. They've got 3 wins now heading into the month of November, and they're going to have to win 3 games if they want to go bowling, and that's simply not going to happen. If you want me to be honest with you, I think they lose their next 3 games. They will lose to Utah, they will lose to UCLA, and they will lose to Oregon. They lost to the Utes 34-13 last year, and the Utes in Salt Lake City are 26-2 over the course of the last 5 years. They just don't lose at home. They're not going to lose at home to this Arizona State team that's still trying to figure things out. So they'll get beat by Utah. They go on the road to UCLA. Again, a UCLA team that defensively is going to be pretty solid, more so than people expect with 9 starters back. Dante Moore, I believe, is going to get the starting nod at quarterback. Going to be great with Chip Kelly's offense. Out in LA, just don't see them having enough to take down the Bruins. And then, of course, Oregon. Fun game here, right? Because Kenny Dillingham was the offensive coordinator for the Ducks last year. So you've got that reunion. Kenny Dillingham now facing off against his former team, facing off against his protege, the guy he built up in Bo Nix during his time at Auburn, and then again at Oregon. So in a very emotional game, and senior day, or excuse me, not senior day, the second to last game for Arizona State. But I don't think they're going to have enough to beat Oregon. Even though they beat them last time they came here back in 2019, that win ruined Oregon's playoff hopes in 2019. The Sun Devils might have a shot to do that again if the Ducks are in playoff contention. We expect they very well could be at this point in the year. But Oregon is simply too strong offensively. I don't think Arizona State can keep up. They get the loss to the Ducks, and they take on Arizona on senior day. Big-time rivalry game. Yes, they can't go bowling, but this game is an opportunity to end the season on a high. It's an opportunity to win a trophy game, to beat your rival, and maybe an opportunity to spoil Arizona's season and prevent the Wildcats from going bowling, because I think they could flirt with it this year under Jed Fish. Arizona State, guys, has won 7 of the last 10 games against the Wildcats, but lost last year 38-35. They blew a fourth quarter lead, allowed the Wildcats to come back, committed turnover after turnover after turnover, and ultimately lost that game. That's not going to happen this year. Give me the Sun Devils to win the season finale and send them off into the postseason on a high. I really look at this game. Senior day is going to be emotional. The guys that have stuck around at Arizona State have suffered through all the violations, all the turmoil, are going to be emotional. They're going to want to send their guys off with a massive win over their rival. Arizona's good. What's their strength? Passing the ball with Jaden DeLora. Averaged 318 passing yards per game last year. This Arizona State secondary has an opportunity to shut that down and to limit it. They have an opportunity there. They have an opportunity, Arizona State does, to rush all over Arizona, who allowed over 200 rushing yards per game last year. Then we could see another high-scoring game in this season finale. 38-35 last year, could see something similar. But I like this Arizona State offense to get just enough over the Wildcats defense I don't think is quite up to par. They win the season finale and end the year at 4-8. 4-8 in year one under Kenny Dillingham with 2 conference victories. To me, that's not a bad year. That's a 1-game improvement from what the Sun Devils had last year. We said at the beginning of this video, the Sun Devils are in full rebuild mode. No one's expecting them to go contend for a title this year. Not many people are expecting them to even make a bowl game this year. Kenny Dillingham's coming in to stabilize the program, to lay a solid foundation. This is going to do it. They beat their rival in the season finale. They carry that momentum into next year, and that could be the year the Sun Devils start to kind of become more relevant, to get back to that relevancy in the Pac-12, start building themselves up, and start putting out the flames of that dumpster fire that Herm Edwards left behind. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. Our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Don't miss out on those. Sign up today for guaranteed money in your pocket this season. Our Patreon account for exclusive college football content year-round. And of course, our mailing address. Send us some gear to get your team represented in every single GE video as we continue to expand from coast to coast. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.